You made it. All right. We're not halfway there yet. We're not. So, if you haven't buckled in yet, surprised you survived that last turn. Oh my god. The windows were down. The cat fell out. Good thing we taught it how to teleport. It came back right away. Anyway, this is the Hermit. Key 9. The Hermit, or Yod. Chapter 13 of the classic guide by Paul Foster Case, The Tarot. A key to the wisdom of the ages. Yod, I-J-Y, value 10, means the hand of man. It is the open hand, in contradistinction to Kaf, the closed one, which follows it in the alphabet. Yod indicates power, means, direction, skill, dexterity, but it is the sign rather of tendency, aptitude, inclination, predisposition, or potency than of actual activity. In the religious symbolism of the world, the open hand is everywhere and at all times a type of beneficence, and of the freedom of the Supreme Spirit. In the Kabbalah, this letter has special importance because it is the initial letter of the Tetragrammaton, IHVH, and the initial letter also of the word, what the hell is that? ICHIDH, Yekida. The term used in the wisdom of Israel to designate the indivisible one, the supreme self, having its abode or seat in Ketha, the crown, at the top of the tree of life. That motherfucker up there, yeah. At the top of the tree of life. Where's my shit? I lost my fucking place. Kabbalists, moreover, say that the upper point of the letter refers to Ketha, the primal will, while the body of the letter represents the second Sephiroth Chokmah, or wisdom. The sense of touch is that which is attributed to Yod, and the same letter in Kabbalah corresponds to the function of coition. What the hell does that mean? C-O-I-T-I-O-N. Coition. Why don't you look that up for me? Is this live stream? Shit. Still can't figure that shit out. Okay. Sense of touch is in which the sense of touch is particularly active. Corresponds to the function of coition. So coition, what is that? What could coition mean? Think corporeal? The use of a thing that is sensing the touch. Who knows? A dictionary does. Esoterically, the letter Yod corresponds to the experience of union with the Supreme Self, the true I Am of the cosmos. This experience, intensely blissful, is often compared by occult writers, both ancient and modern, to the intense physical ecstasy of the sex embrace. Prudes may quarrel with this comparison. Let them read the Song of Solomon, the mystical poetry of Persian Sufis, or some of the narratives of Christian mythical experience, and they will learn that some of the best minds of the human race has ever produced have not scrupled to employ intensely erotic imagery in their endeavors to describe the bliss of union with the One. What? Have not scrupled to employ. So, scrupled is bad, okay. North below is the direction attributed to Kabbalists to Yod. On the cube of space it is the lower boundary of the northern face, and the northern boundary of the lower face. It joins the lower ends of the vertical lines northeast the Emperor and northwest Justice. One reason for this attribution is that the destruction of error symbolized by key 16, north, is one of the elements of mystic experience. Furthermore, that experience depends on certain transformations of the Mars force. In the physical body, and these transformations in the Mars force... fucked up. It's a whole set... I gotta start the whole bitch over again. One reason for this attribution is that the destruction of error symbolized by key 16, north, is one of the elements of mystic experience. Furthermore, that experience depends on certain transformations of the Mars force in the physical body, and these transformations are affected by subconsciousness. Below. Again, mystic experience is the supreme expression of subconscious process of memory and association, High Priestess below. When we most perfectly remember ourselves, we experience this blissful merging of personal consciousness with the universal. The color assigned to Virgo is yellow-green, its musical tone is F natural. Virgo, the Virgin, a mutable or common earthly sign, is attributed to the letter Yod. It is ruled by Mercury, key 1, the magician, and is also the sign in which Mercury is exalted. Virgo is dominated, therefore, by self-conscious initiative, and represents the state in which the highest manifestation of self-consciousness is experienced. This state is what the Bible calls heaven. Yes, the kingdom of heaven is within your mind. Therefore, Jesus said that that in heaven there is neither marriage nor giving in marriage, because in the blissful state of union there is no sense of otherness or separation. This corresponds to the idea of virginity connected with the sign. In the state of consciousness we are now considering, all distinctions are separate personality, and consequently all distinctions of sex are completely obliterated. Astrologers say Virgo rules the intensities, where digestion is completed. Astrologers say Virgo rules the intestines. Where digestion is completed, and where the final selection is made between assimilable material and what is rejected as waste. In certain In certain forms of occult practice concealed under the veils of alchemy, the assimilation of solar energy from food by the lacteals, 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 I don't know what that is the small intestine, is tremendously increased. To this practice we may refer alchemical references to the first matter as virgin's milk, prepared under the regimen of Mercury, to the process of putrefaction symbolized by a black dragon, the convulsions of the intestines in the darkness of the abdominal cavity, and to the fact that, in its visible aspect, the first matter is a thing accounted by all men to be the vilest thing on earth. Intelligence of will is the mode of consciousness attributed to the letter Yod, say the Kabbalists. It prepares all created beings, each individually, for the demonstration of the existence of the primordial glory. This demonstration is the experience hitherto described. The primordial glory is that of the Supreme Self. The word translated above as will means primarily delight, and has for supplementary meanings pleasure, intent, purpose, determination. Thus we find that all descriptions of mystic experience agree that it is first-hand knowledge of an ineffable glory, of an unspeakable bliss, and of an intensely certain and definite, though incommunicable, knowledge of the meaning and tendency of the cosmic life process. In this experience, the question, what is this all about, is settled once and for all. In it, too, the knowledge that there can be but one free will in the universe, of which free will all things and creatures are personal expressions, is a knowledge established forever. The Hermit is a title referring to a passage in the Kabbalah which says, Yod is above all, symbolizing the Father, and with him is none other associated. A hermit lives alone, isolated. The picture shows him alone, standing on a snowy mountain peak, far above the climbing travelers for whom he holds aloft his lantern as a beacon. His white beard shows that he is the most holy ancient one, identified with the primal will. His gray-cowled robe suggests another Kabbalistic title for the One, concealed with all concealment. He is the source of all, yet is he also the goal of all endeavor. Every practice in occult training aims at the union of personal consciousness with the cosmic will, which is the causeless cause of all particular manifestations. At first it may puzzle you to account for the fact that a letter assigned to the direction north below should be symbolized by a man standing on a height. Remember the axiom, that which is above is as that which is below. Remember also that such words as cause, source, origin, etc. are related to that which is basic, fundamental, and therefore at the bottom of things. Again, 9, the number of this key, is a number of completion. As you learned in Chapter 2, but in the same chapter you were told that this completion is inseparable from, and really identical with, the primary idea which begins the process of manifestation. The meaning should be even clearer after you have considered the analogies between 9, the number of the hermit, and 0, the number of the fool. The sign which precedes all manifestation is 0, and 9, final figure of the digital series, it denotes completion, perfection, realization. The only perfect being must be the Absolute, and the Absolute is not only no thing, the fool, but is also that which is completely alone, hermit. Perfection is prior to and behind all manifestation, yet it is also beyond and above all things. 9, therefore, represents the Absolute as the goal of existence, while 0 typifies the same Absolute as the source of all. Consequently, in tarot, 0 is a youth looking upward in the morning light, but 9 is a bearded ancient looking down at night. The hermit and the fool are the two aspects of that which is the foundation of all manifestation. The hermit is the ancient one, above all things, yet supporting all. He precedes everything, and when considered in that aspect, is forever young, the fool. Yet he will continue when all else has passed away, and he is the term of all our hopes. He stands in darkness because what is behind our personifications of the supreme reality is darkly incomprehensible to our intellects. The darkness represents also the hidden interior subconscious field of the divine operation. The peak whereon he stands is snow-capped, because to us this ancient one is an abstraction, cold and far removed from the warmth of everyday life. Yet he himself carries his own light, and holds it aloft for the benefit of those who toil upward towards him. It is the light of a golden six-rayed star, and its interlaced triangles are symbols of union. The 6 points of the star hint also at Virgo's 6th sign in the zodiacal series. Although the hermit seems to be alone, he is really the way-shower, lighting the path for climbing multitudes below. He has no need to climb, hence his staff is held in his left hand. The staff is one of the implements of the magician, and corresponds to the archetypal world. When we reason about it, the causeless cause seems afar off, a cold, isolated abstraction. In truth, it is intimately related to every circumstance in our daily personal experience. It is the substance, the power, the consciousness expressed in the least of our experiences. It is the source of all our personal light and wisdom. It is the objective of all our aspirations. The hermit is the supreme will, the cosmic eternal urge to freedom. Union with that will is the highest result of the operation of the law. That subconsciousness responds to the initiative and to the suggestions of self-consciousness. Only through the working of the subconscious body-transforming powers may our bodies undergo the subtle changes which make them fit vehicles for union with the Supreme Spirit. I want to dissect that one. Only through the working of the subconscious body-transforming powers, so that's the serpent energy, what's number 10 say? The kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh. Right? Let's say you're working out. You don't just get to be bodybuilder status the next day. It's a process. But you are creating that. That thing was existent in its prima materia form when you chose to begin that journey. may our bodies undergo the subtle changes which make them fit vehicles for union. Getting prettied up to go on a date. It's like that. You're ready for the moment? Being the vehicle? For union with the Supreme Spirit. Exemplification of the self, perhaps, so that you possess a kind of confidence that echoes back inward as you decorate your temple. Who knows? That's an interesting sentence. This is why Mercury, ruler of Virgo, is also exalted or sublimated in that sign. Mercury is the magician, and self-training in right interpretation of experience, in concentration in the manipulation of subconsciousness, is what bears fruit finally in union with what is pictured here as the Hermit. In this union, the sense of personal self is lost, and one knows nothing but the I am, hence occult teachings frequently call this experience isolation, exactly what the title of Key 9 implies. Psychologically, this is the state of being conscious that all volition is universal, rather than personal. It includes first-hand knowledge of the law of the eternal freedom of the true self. This carries with it burping. This carries with it the perception that the idea of personal will, that is, of will originating in or inhering in personality, must be an illusion. This consciousness, the demonstration of the existence of the primordial glory, is the basis of the mighty works of adepts, the foundation for the miracles which are the evidences of genuine sainthood. Thus, and also because it is consciousness of the true basis of all manifestation, the Hermit bears the number which Hebrew occultism associates with basis or foundation. This number 9, it should be remarked, is also the number which Kabbalists ascribe to the reproductive organs of Adam Kadmon, the archetypal man. For all sages are agreed that, though intelligence of will seems to be the outcome of personal effort and aspiration, it is really the final stage of a work initiated and carried on by the life power itself. That work, they say, is one in which the heavenly man reproduces himself in the image of the earthly. Herein some of our readers may find a clue to the inner meaning of the doctrine that the Christos is begotten, not made. I had a teacher once, he didn't grade us in a sense that you would get a grade and that's put into the box, and then more grades get added into the box and a mean is created. You had 100% going into the class, and you just had to keep it that way. I think it's a bit like that. For instance, when one is engaging in Christ consciousness, it comes from your heart chakra, but that's also the organ that produces a tremendous magnetic field around you. It's important. It's necessary to your own development just as an animal, much less as a conscious being. So, I like the synergistic aspects of these things. When you're doing them all properly, you can have the majority of your cake and have like a suspended animation case for the one last slice. You can have a collection of all the cakes that you've ever had. Something like that. I'm dehydrated. I need to go get me some waters. Many blessings upon you all, yes.